Hello everyone, it's Aeon, and today let's talk about Prot Paladin in TBC. So what role do you play as a Prot Paladin? How exactly are you, what is your part in the raid? Now, the main thing is you're the best AoE tank in the game. There is no other thing to say about that. You are the best, okay? A warrior with all the unique items and engineering and loads of gear and a 500 IQ brain probably can keep up with a Prot Paladin who's got 2 buttons on his keyboard pressing Holy Shield and Consecration. That's right. But the majority of time, Prot Paladin's the king of AoE. Sorry. Now, the other thing is that you can hit Uncrushable. It takes a little bit more than what warriors need, but you can be uncrushable for a longer duration of time and for more hits within a certain interval. So warriors can become uncrushable very easy for 2 hits in like a certain small window. So if the boss hits for more than that, hits for more than twice in that certain window, they kind of fall off. Whereas Prot Paladins don't suffer from that at all. They're perfectly fine. So we'll start right at the beginning. Faction and race. Is there any clear winners here? Not really. Blood Elves are fantastic with an AoE silence, which is really good for dungeoning and can be useful in raids as well and in PvP. You then have humans. I mean, who doesn't like 10% rep? Let's be honest. Definitely in the early starts of the expansion, 10% rep is literally giga. And then you have dwarfs with Stoneform, which sounds really underwhelming, but there are so many applications of Stoneform that you can use in TBC that just work really well. So no, there's no clear winner. Just pick whichever one you like the look of. So this is the standard build, and within this build, there's basically 3 points you can play with. You can put them in Pursuit of Justice. You can put them in Seal of the Crusader. There's lots of different things you can do. You can even sack like Improved Judgment if you want. Now the main thing you need to think about is Improved Seal of the Crusader. What this basically does is make sure Judgment of the Crusader give everybody in the raid 3% crit. Anybody that hits that target now gets 3% extra crit, and that's massive for a 25-man raid. So you should provide this. However, if you have a Rep Paladin, he will have this, okay? So if you have a Rep Paladin, don't worry. If you don't, consider getting this talent because it'll be a big boost to all of your raid, okay? So let's move on to stats. Now this is probably where a lot of people who haven't played TBC private servers will make the biggest mistake. Back in TBC, and definitely when I played TBC as a kid, they had this really weird thing of how much block value was great. Okay, block value this, block value that. I'm telling you right now, it's utter crap. Please don't go block value. Block rating, great. Block value, eh. Now, the reason for this is that as a Prot Paladin, you do not have a 100% chance to block. Okay, you have a lot of other avoidance that counts for your uncrushable. But a portion of that, a large portion, 60 to 70% will be block, but you won't block every hit. You're not like a warrior. So warriors block almost every hit they take. Therefore, block value has a very high value, basically. As a paladin, you won't. So stamina is king, okay? You need to hit your defense cap, which is 490 defense. And then you need to hit your uncrushable, which is 102.4% total avoidance. Now, 70 upgrades, if you're pre-planning your gear on there, will show you your total avoidance with Holy Shield on. The idea is get your defense cap, which is 490, get uncrushable, stack stamina or spell power. Okay, whichever one of these you need the most. So if you're not dying but you're not holding threat very well, go spell power. If you are dying and you need some more survivability, go stamina. And that's pretty much it. Okay, block value is not very good. Going over uncrushable is nice. It's nice to be a little bit more tanky and a little bit more, I don't know, RNG tanky, but honestly for me, stamina is king, okay? Stamina or spell power. I have a full stamina. I want, you know, a bare amount of health, and I'm a pretend tank with lots of spell power and do shit tons of damage. And then what I do is I move the counter between the two. So I need to be more tanky for this one. Oh wait, now I need to be more defensive for this one, more offensive for this one. And I basically shift my 2 gear sets around depending on the situation. That's how I tank, which is exactly how you want to be. But yeah, don't fall into this, oh, block value is fantastic. Don't put block value on your gloves. Don't look for it everywhere. If it comes on your gear anyway, fine, okay? But it's not something that's like the king of things. You want to stack stamina and spell power, okay? Once you've hit crit cap and uncrushable, okay? Don't make this mistake. So I'm going to give you a little bit about block value. Now, I've completely shat on it, okay? But I'm going to say now, there are situations in which it's good. When a singular boss is hitting you like a ton of bricks, stamina wins, okay? Because blocking an extra 45 now and again on a boss hit is okay, but having an extra 30 health to be healed up every hit is much better. Now, block value does gain more when there's more mobs hitting you. So in dungeons, block value is pretty good, okay? Now, for me, I do have block value pieces, but you hit a point in gear where heroic dungeons are just nothing anyway. But early on, block value can be very nice for dungeons, but not for the singular bosses, okay? That's kind of what I'm getting at here. So that's your talents, that's your races, and that's your total stats of what you kind of want to go for. So now, let's move on to professions, which is a big talking point for a lot of people. Now, engineering does not have goggles on the beta. This puts engineering at just 245 stamina trinkets, which sound great, and for some boss fights might be very good to have that amount of health. However, personally for me, even on Endless, I use a lot of spell power. So the 41 Badge of Justice spell power trinket, I end up using quite a bit, and I don't really find use for the engineering trinket as much. So engineering is great. It provides you with the stamina trinket, it provides you with the vacuum thing that sucks up motes from clouds in the place, and provides you with a very cool locking mount. And sapper charges are pretty good, don't need them, but they're pretty cool still and lots of damage. Next is blacksmithing. Now, all of the weapons, mace, axe, and sword are crap for Prot Paladin. Utter crap. Swordsmithing's great for retribution, but for Prot, there isn't one. And then you have armor smithing. Now, armor smithing is a weird one because it basically provides you with a chest plate in tier 4 and a pair of boots, Red Havoc boots if I remember correctly. The Red Havoc boots for defensive purposes are incredible, but they are bind on pickup. The chest, utter crap. It's got strength and hit and crit. You don't want it at all. It has a health proc on it, which is nice, like a little bit of a last stand, but utter crap. Boots are really good, and then in tier 5, you can then get another pair of boots, which are called the Boots of the Protector, I think I have them, and they're great for like a midpoint of survivability and spell power. So armor smithing can be good, and you need to be an armor smith in order to make these because they are bind on pickup. But for me, before I go into what I pick, enchanting is great too. You get ring enchants, fantastic. They're quite nice in the fact that you can either have 4 stats or you can have spell power. You need more threat, spell power, you need more tankiness. You can have +4 every stat on either one as well. They're quite nice, but for me, the clear-cut winner is dual crafting. Now, one, I am the guildmaster, and therefore I want to make sure that we have a dual crafter in the guild for every meta, everything in the game, so that I can fulfill that role. But 2, the serpent trinket and the crab trinket, but mostly the serpent trinket, is fantastic. So take the engineering trinket, 45 stamina and some rocket, meh. The serpent trinket loses 12 stamina, so it only has 33 stamina, but gains 23 intellect and an on-use spell power proc for all the burst threat you want. And because it's on use, you can time it whenever you want it. It's fantastic. And the crab is great if you don't get another trinket, though there is one from a quest that's much better, but it's another option if you want dodge rating for whatever reason. So for me, as a Prot Paladin main, dual crafting wins. You also get access to 1 epic gem early on, and then you can have before any epic gems come in. So you can have 1 standalone epic gem. It's cool. It's a nice little boost, but it's nothing major. Enchanting's better in that way, but that serpent trinket is fantastic. And then in late game, it gets upgraded to an epic version. So you even get an upgraded version of it later on. So for me, dual crafting is key. So with professions out the way, so you know what race you want to play, you know the stats you need, you know the talent build you're going to be using, and then you've had a quick look at professions. Let's move on to actually how you play the class. Now, Prot Paladin's super easy, okay? You want to keep consecration down as much as possible. Be careful of your mana, okay? Remember, you gain mana back when you take damage on a heal. A portion of the healing you take from other people becomes mana. So as you get better gear, you'll realize you'll a lot quicker because you won't be taking as much damage. So just be a little bit wary of your mana. Without mana, you won't be doing any threat. So down ranking things like Holy Shield and down ranking Consecration are things you should look to do if you're running low on mana. Definitely Holy Shield. So the main thing is keep Consecration down. and keep Holy Shield on cooldown. Holy Shield every single time it comes up. That should be your main priority. If you're low on mana, just cast a rank 1, okay? The block chance that Holy Shield gives you isn't dependent on its rank. It will give you 30% from rank 1 to rank 10,000, okay? It doesn't matter. It'll always give you 30%. So if you're running low on mana, drop it down to rank 1 instead of the max rank. All you lose is a little bit of threat, but it's better to keep it up at lower rank than not have it up at all. After that, keep up Consecration, keep up the Judgment on the boss that you need to do. So if it's Crusader, make sure you keep Crusader on the boss. If it's Wisdom, make sure you keep Wisdom on the boss. And God forbid, but if you have to keep Light on the boss for whatever reason, keep Light on the boss. Outside of that, Avengers Shield, okay, the Captain America Shield, it's a bit of a bait. It looks great. It's great for burst threat at the beginning. It's great for certain situations in raids like Leithus the Blind in SSC, but it's very much a bait. You cannot mitigate or avoid, you can't avoid anything while casting. So casting Avengers Shield in combat is very, very risky. So be very careful not to really use this in combat unless you really need to, okay? This is why a lot of the end game Paladin builds don't actually use Avengers Shield, because it's a little bit oofed. Now, I'm going to talk a bit about seals now before we move on. Don't be stuck in Seal of Vengeance. Okay, Seal of Vengeance is a long-term goal for mobs that last long. If mobs don't last very long, Seal of Righteousness, okay? I don't want to see you going in on mobs with like 10k health and trying to stack Vengeance up. Screw that. Just put Righteousness on and Judge Righteousness and just use that instead, okay? If a boss lasts forever, make sure you open with your Righteousness to give you a bunch of burst threat and then switch to Vengeance, okay? And stack it up over time. But don't feel afraid to not have Vengeance up. Definitely in dungeons, just use Righteousness, okay? Please. The amount of times I've seen Paladins run in with Vengeance on thinking they can stack it up in time and lose threat, it's unreal and it's such a rookie move. So, Righteousness is king if the mob won't last very long. Vengeance is king if the mob lasts for a very long time, okay? Just keep that in mind. So before we talk about gear sets, I'm just going to simply end it with this. This is your pre-pull. You go in, you pre-cast your Seal of Righteousness at whatever time, like 10 seconds before the pull. And just before the pull, you proc all your offensive stuff and cast Holy Avengers Shield and then Holy Shield, and then you judge the mob. You then put Consecrate down and reseal with Righteousness or Vengeance, and then you Judgment on cooldown and keep Holy Shield up and keep Consecration down. The biggest thing here is just to make sure you keep an eye on your mana, don't go and all will be fine, okay? So for those of you looking about, what's my BIS list, what should I be going for, I'm going to link you a few 70 upgrades below that will be labeled. Each one will be for different things. One will be like a week 1 set, one will be like a full pre-raid BIS if you're never going to touch a raid, and then one will be like tier 4 BIS. And I will update this list as we go along and throughout the expansion, so just keep an eye out. But I'm going to name a few items now that are kind of mandatory in a sense, okay? The first one is, I think it's Dabira's Enigma, which is from a Netherstorm quest. It's defense, and then on use gives you block chance. And then you have Figurine of the Colossus from the final boss of Shattered Halls, normal or heroic, doesn't matter. Now these two trinkets comboed together will give you a massive amount of sustain. So basically the figurine makes you heal every time you block, and then the Enigma makes you block more often. You then put Holy Shield and Rebout into this equation, and basically you're healing yourself more than the mobs deal damage. Outside of that, doing 15 heroic dungeon bosses very, very quickly to get yourself the Librum of Repentance, I think it's called. 15 Badges of Justice is mandatory. You will never replace this Librum. All it does is give your Holy Shield an extra 5.5% block, which means your need for avoidance on your gear goes down again. So Holy Shield now provides you with 35.4, something like that, amount of avoidance. Now 70 upgrades does take this into account, so just look at the 70 upgrades list, okay? Now, Uncrushable sounds scary. You can get it week 1. There'll be the list below will show that. But apart from that, guys, that covers almost everything. So if you have any questions, please put them in the comment section below. And until next time, have a good one.